1 billion euros in debt. And I changed it to euros so I could say billion. It's still a lot though. Every day there's a new story about their financial problem. And yet they are still trying to sign players. How does it make sense? So I'm going to take charge of Barcelona myself. And I'm going to try and sort this out. At the same time as winning a few of these. And maybe even one of these. So here's what I'm thinking. Highlighted here are the players that are on big wages, are valuable assets, or their ability doesn't justify their pay. And if I can sell or move on most of these players, I can build up cash, reduce the debt majorly, and keep young talent around and reinvest. And I know the perfect method to this madness. Youth to gold. It's a concept that I have used for years. I'm only going to buy players aged 19 or below, using the scouting knowledge to unearth some hidden gems around the world, whilst of course using Barcelona's La Masia Academy. And I can sell players at their peak and bring back the club's identity. Straight away, let's promote these first team candidates. Once they're in the first team, I can assess how many players I can get rid of and build around the young talent we already have here in Catalonia. I took a look at the first team coaches and noticed even more of a mess. 4 fitness coaches, 1 goalkeeper coach, and just an assistant manager. So I kept the best 2 fitness coaches and I released the other 2. I then noticed Chelsea wanted Longley, so I offered him to them to see if they would bite. And they did, offering me £28.5 million up front. A lot of contracts up at the end of the season and only a couple of guys worthy of keeping. Elias Akamak being one of them, a youngster with good potential, only asking for a low wage. We bumped the release clause up and he was happy to accept the offer. Now it must be a bug with the new updated database that I'm using that Aubameyang is only on 30k a week and just signed a new deal, so not really much I can do about him this season, but next season I won't renew and he can leave on a free, so I don't profit anymore from the potential error. PSG also came in for Longley, which I shall accept. And my new coaching team has started to arrive. New contract for Nico to extend his time here and improve his release clause. And with Longley moving to PSG, I had a fantastic target in mind for the first signing. 6'4" Italian centre-back Giorgio Scalvini. However, according to his agent, he isn't interested. I've put in an offer anyway, and I scouted the player for the next 3 months. I then tied Gavi down to a new longer deal too, with a much higher release clause. Now this has caught my eye. United iron up Memphis Depay. Price of £41.5 million is low, but I'm open to selling. Although I'm not being strict on using players over 30 in the youth to go rules, he's at a prime age to sell and he's a high wage earner. And once I offered him out, they aren't really willing to make an offer and Depay wants to discuss his future. Typical. He took it very badly when I told him it was the right thing for him to do, and it did not end very well. Now looking at this is the team that I could see us keeping for at least the next 5 seasons. A core to build around, with Ter Stegen being the oldest at 30, but that's no problem for a goalkeeper. Fullbacks and squad depth is definitely our concern. De Jong is world class and only 25, but putting a youth to gold hat on, he's perfect to sell this year or next. And all of these youngsters are about to run out of contract, however, none of them will be good enough for the first team, so I think I might just release them all. So 14 players are released, and that will definitely help the wage budget lower. Interesting offer from PSG to loan Dembele with a fee to buy if he plays 15 games. That's easy to accept. And Valencia want to loan Pjanic for none of his wages, but they will buy him for £12 billion. Yeah, go on then. Amar Dedic is a target I need to make a decision on as he turns 20 in August. He's quality for his age and he has a good potential for a low cost. He plays on both sides, so a wise signing and only £10 million. And then weirdly, Scalvini was released by Atalanta. I offered a little more and a starting position because I noticed Inter Milan made an offer too. And we say goodbye to Dembele. And hello to Dedic. Busquets is then wanted by Milan. It's a tough choice with his contract up at the end of the season, as we could cash in now and save his wages too. Although there's no viable targets with similar attributes in our price range, so maybe I'll hold off for now. Pjanic rejects Valencia, which is rather annoying too. £130 million for TV rights. Good lord. We managed to secure the signing of Scalvini, who is an incredible free transfer pickup for the future. But this friendly is not a good sign. 3-0 loss to Olympiacos with the majority of our best players on the field. First game of the season, I want to try our youngsters against Osasuna, with big players like De Jong, Aubameyang and Depay all on the bench. And we got a comfy 2-0 win. Not amazing, but it was good enough. The first goal came for a bit of magic by Pedri finding Ansu Fati, and the second, off of a throw-in, seen Ferran Torres picking out a debut in Scalvini up from a previous corner to head in. Our run in August wasn't that bad either. starting with a 3-0 victory against Mallorca with some of the big boys returning. Although maybe too many changes caused us to draw versus Sporting Gijon. Turns out we love a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I don't know how, but that is a very bad month. Oh, our Champions League group has been drawn too, by the way. Deadline day and 5 players attracting interest. Depay out of those players is the one that I'm happy to let go. And Liverpool bid a very poor £40 million offer that I simply aren't accepting. Window now closed and Lewandowski move to Real Madrid is the main headline. Our first big test and Atletico gave us a huge advantage with a red card in the first minute and we win 3-0. In fact, September was fantastic for us. We won every single game and scored a ton of goals, even conceding 4 against Dortmund and still winning by scoring 5. And then hitting a dud against Levante at home. Scalvini did insane though with an 8.6 rating. Luckily, we won every other game in the league in October and there was a lot. Ended in a 3-0 win against Sevilla, starting with a Araujo penalty. Aubameyang sprung into action and got a brace in the second half. And by the end of the year, we sit in second place, unbeaten behind Real Madrid, who we have yet to play, by the way, with a game in hand. We topped our group in the Champions League despite losing the last game to Sporting, and we've pulled Ajax in the first round knockouts. Depay now has more clubs chasing him, which could be very interesting. And just like real life, De Jong is wanted by United. Oh look, it's the El Clasico. I went with the more informed players, including Scalvini over the experience of somebody like Piqué. And with beautiful passing play, we took the lead through Pedri. Araujo then leapt highest to header in the second. Ferran Torres rode a tackle and slotted in a third. After De Jong mistimed a tackle, Madrid broke down the left and pulled a cross back for that man Lewandowski to put in within minutes left of the game. But even then, we still had time for Pedri to tap in a fourth and send the Catalonians home happy with the 3 points. I don't know how, but at this point we have knocked off a huge amount of debt that loomed over our finances in just 6 months. And both Liverpool and PSG offered for Depay, so a bit of war could definitely happen. There you go, £5 billion extra just like that from 2 clubs. Here we go. Won the Super Coppa, if anyone cares, by the way. Although I wish we didn't when I seen the amount of players that we had to pay out for. Millions of pound loss just because of that win. Follow that with another 1-1 draw at Valencia. £65 million is what I got offered for Depay in the end. Perfect. And then Barcelona chucked £176 million of the transfer budget. There's no wonder why this club is in trouble. Which of course I'm not going to use. I do however need to replace Depay and Sesko is my target. He is a monster and although he's a little bit pricey here, I will save so much money on wages. He's perfect for the youth to gold method at this stage. Because this is just step 1. Sell older, higher valued assets and replace them with cheaper teenagers who are almost ready for the first team. And don't worry, I'll tell you about step 2 another day. Sesko joins on a 31k a week wage. On the same day, he debuted against Bilbao and scored 2 in a 4-1 win, including a powerful header for his second. The Valencia game was the only one we dropped points in as we continue our great form. Busquets is leaving at the end of the year, agreeing to join Milan on deadline day. To say that Madrid got their own back would be a bit of an understatement as they thrashed us 6-1 in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg. And we took our first loss in the league right after against Villarreal. 4 points from the next 2, including a 94th minute equaliser from Araujo. However, we ended the month emphatically against our local rivals Espanyol. Pedri with the first, Ansu Fati brought the ball down well for the second, Frankie de Jong burst forward to get the third, and Araujo from the penalty spot got the fourth. And with that win, we go top of the league, 3 points in La Liga. We lost the first leg to Ajax in the Champions League, unfortunately, but did gain some dignity back against Madrid in a 5-2 win. Albeit, we were still knocked out. I'm gonna skip ahead though because March absolutely sucked. We didn't lose a game, no, but we did draw 5 in a row and got ourselves eliminated from the Champions League, which sees us 4 points behind Madrid with 10 games remaining in our only hope for a trophy. Thankfully, Elche was our next opponent and Sesko was on fire, scoring a hat-trick using his pace and power for the first 2 goals and using his aerial ability for the third, smashing another header in a 6-1 win. And we continued this form, winning all 5 games including a 5-2 away win to Celta Vigo, where Trincao also got himself a hat-trick. But our last 5 games are tough. Sevilla up next, Madrid 3 days later, and 3 tricky games following that. However, Madrid have crumbled recently, not winning their last 3 La Liga games. So we are now 7 points clear with 5 games to go. Surely we can't blow this one, right? We beat Sevilla. Nice one. And then we lose the El Clasico. And draw 0-0 to Valencia, where Piqué missed a penalty. Don't know why he's taken them. Whilst Madrid closed the gap by winning everything, as they then prepare for the Champions League final. We churn out 3 points away to Granada, leaving Bilbao as the last game, and Madrid just 2 points behind. Madrid take the lead early with a Militao screamer, whilst we create nothing in the first half other than problems, with Muniain almost scoring from kickoff, and Bilbao coming close from a set piece right after. Madrid then got a second right after the break through Lewandowski, and Hazard then put a third in from the spot, 70th minute, and it's still 0-0 at Bilbao. But the deadlock was finally broken on the 75th minute when Trincao broke free and found the net at the near post. And after soaking up some more pressure, Aubameyang was put through in the 87th minute to secure the 3 points. And of course, the La Liga league title. Araujo also won Player of the Year in La Liga after scoring 19 goals. And he was our top scorer this season. Lots to do here in Barcelona still, as the youth to go process has only just begun, because the debts are still going up. So another summer clear out and activating step 2 of the process. So make sure you are subscribed if you don't want to miss season 2, and if it is out, I'll pop it up on screen right now so you can click and binge watch. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Barcelona have given me £200 million transfer budget in season number 2, but we still have £705 million worth of debt. And this is Youth to Gold. But we have only signed players who are teenagers at the time, and we sell players in their prime for huge profits. And I'll explain step 2 of the Youth to Gold when it happens. Last season we won the league on the final day, but we were knocked out of both cups. We also have a model citizen in the youth academy that we need to keep our eye on. So many players' contracts running out within the year that I won't be renewing. Actually, other than Balde, who is a future first team left back. Porto then came in for Pjanic and I accepted. And he is off. PSG also played Dembele enough times to activate a mandatory transfer fee. And we released 15 players, including Aubameyang. And don't forget about the players who agreed to join somebody else, including Sergi Roberto and Busquets. My first target, while we are still in stage 1 of the Youth to Gold, is Luca Romero. He's a good young player. He also has a Spanish second nationality, and with a little bit of negotiating, Lazio are willing to sell for a very good price. And in stage 1, Griezmann is still the target to sell. Upon offering him out, Liverpool and PSG come in with their wallets open, whilst Luca Romero signs for just £9 million. But Griezmann is being all dramatic and he's rejected Liverpool. So yet again, I offered him out to both Liverpool and PSG, but this time for a lesser transfer fee. Hopefully then they can negotiate a contract which will be a little bit more generous and I won't have to pay him 300k a week no more. I accepted a new offer for Griezmann by PSG and then contemplated an offer from Juve for De Jong. However, that's still £20 million short of his valuation, and I'm not accepting that. Milan then came in with an increasing offer of 77 million. However, I want at least 85. Thankfully though, Griezmann has agreed to join PSG, and that 300k a week wage is now gone. Pedri though has broke his hand in a fall and is going to miss the start of the season. I think you're ready to hear step 2 of Youth to Gold. At this stage, we have brought in players who are ready for the first team and sold high value or overpaid assets. Step 2 is the fun part. Looking for players 19 years or below, we will now look at all the players my scouts have been hunting around the world for that would definitely aren't ready for first team football yet. But they are so cheap and can be developed into future stars. For instance, this Belgian 16-year-old Ismael Loboto, he doesn't really want to sign for us yet, but we can work on it for the future. And you fill up your development centre full of future stars that you sign for peanuts. You build the best youth team in the world and you dominate the youth leagues. And when the time is right, you promote them when they are ready for first team football to replace a player you sold for huge money. Or you sell them for a massive profit later down the line. But eventually your squad depth will mean that you have 3 or 4 players ready to take a first team slot from an older player. And that is when you can sell those players and boost your finances. And of course, get rid of the debt. Wait, £300 million lower than 2 months prior. I then went to offer Ansu Fati a new contract and I think he might be trying to pull my leg. Over 400k a week was requested and he's only aged 20. There is no way I can offer him that much and it's really made me question what to do with him next. According to his agent, my next target, Rooney Bargi, isn't really interested in joining from Copenhagen, something I did not expect. So I put in an offer anyway. And when it came down to it, he was interested and we easily got personal terms agreed. His club wanted to loan him back to the end of the season, which I was actually okay with if it means first team football. He signs on the dotted line for just £10 million. Our first game of the season is Atletico Madrid. With Pedri still recovering, Akamak drops into the shadow striker role. Nico and Gavi in centre mid is probably what we'll be rocking for years to come, and that's due to De Jong being suspended. Last season's top scorer opened the scoring from the spot, and then scored 2 minutes later from a corner, a reminder that he is a centre-back. We scored a third before half-time with a well-worked goal finished by Gavi. Atletico got one back in the second half, but 3-1 was the finish. And we have Bilbao up next. And whatever happens, I know me and my friend Nico Serrano can share a beer tonight. Best buds. Bilbao wasn't playing Serrano, but despite that mistake, they took the lead through Vesga. However, Benjamin Sesko intercepted a long ball and Pedri found him to fire home an equaliser. More passing through the middle meant that Pedri once again found Sesko for his second. And that man Araujo towered high to score from a corner to make it 3-1, and with 5 minutes to go, Munayin scored just a consolation goal. Deadline day, and rumours are that Manchester United are in for De Jong and Trincao, whilst we ignore youth to gold and go for players in their 30s apparently. Champions League draw time, and we eventually get drawn into Group H. First team to join us was Arsenal, and we get a tricky third team in Leipzig. Finally, the last team in our group is Marseille. This is a tough group. A boring deadline day, but was a good window for us overall. Romero and Badji in, with Griezmann leaving being the best part. Step 2 continues all year round though, as we track these new young talents to see if we can bring them in soon. The debt goes up and down more times than West Brom in the Premier League though. I even bagged Manager of the Month too for August. 2 draws in the first 2 matches of September might not win us the next Manager of the Month however. In the Champions League, we are back in form thanks to one man, Sesko. He scored in the 12th minute, he smashed in a powerful header in the 48th minute, and he finally got his hat-trick in the 73rd. Arsenal only got one back late on, but what a goal it was from Bukayo Saka. Beautiful individual finish, 3-1 was how it ended. We followed that with a great result against Villarreal, a 5-1 win and a fantastic performance for the team. 2 poor performances after though, only picking up draws against Levante and Sporting Gijon. Leipzig up next. And nothing happened until the 43rd minute when it all kicked off when Ansu Fati smashed one in from distance. Luca Romero does fantastically to find Sesko, who puts us 2-0 up. However, the match was then flipped on its head, starting with Paulson's 54th minute goal. And Nkunku then turned up, scoring on the 61st and the 71st minute, putting Leipzig in the lead. Andre Silva made things worse, making it 4-2 before Sesko got a third and the last goal of the game in the 83rd minute. 4-3 Leipzig. Back-to-back league wins though, giving us another vital 6 points. Before a loss in the Champions League to Marseille, and we stunk the place out against Almeria too, meaning our preparation for the El Clasico has been dreadful. We are currently in 3rd place, but worse than that, bottom after 3 games in the Champions League group. I don't really want to talk about the El Clasico much, we lost 5-1. Although Carlo somehow sold Asensio to Chelsea for £50 million, which is crazy, they then went and spent that on Fikayo Tomori, which is actually a very good signing, as well as Thiat, and even £45 million on Ismaili Sarr. Thankfully, we worked much harder against Sociedad and Sesko opened the scoring. Trincao took advantage of a goalkeeping howler and we were off to the races with Sesko getting a 3rd. Abdi then got a 4th and Nico scored a brilliant 5th from range to win 5-0. Hey, we are still terrible in the Champions League though. 3 wins on the trot for the first time this season salvages something I guess. Joint top but sat in 3rd in the league and 2nd in the Champions League group. We can't screw this up right now, surely. Yep, we're lost to Valencia 2-1. And then we got smashed in the Champions League by Arsenal. Another 3 wins on the trot thankfully, but I've got some bad news. Yeah, we've been knocked out the Champions League group and we are playing Besiktas in the Europa League next round, which the board of course are fuming with. So my next target is to bring in Linus Getcher, a German centre-back closing in on 20, and I believe it's maybe time to pull the trigger. He has some fantastic attributes, not only defensively, but on the ball he is superb. And the recruitment team suggests signing him whatever the price. However, that price is 19 million, which means he's probably just signed a new deal and there may be no chance of bringing him in. Annoying because he could be fantastic, but there's no way I'm paying that. And as I expected, he signed a new deal on the 29th, 3 days before this. However, he does have a release clause for clubs in the Champions League. Oh yeah, I forgot, we're not in that. In more positive news though, Sesko has won European Golden Boy, and my scouts have found me a 16-year-old they rate very highly. A young midfielder whose mental and physical attributes are decent. Only a youth contract, so I'm actually able to approach him to sign on a free with just a £2 million compensation fee. Lost a Super Cupper this year, but after last year's payments, I'm quite pleased. We've won one and lost one in the league annoyingly, and we have Atletico and Sevilla in 2 away games coming up next. A couple of big names missing, we still got a strong lineup to face them, so let's see how this goes. Just a point was earned in a 0-0 draw, but those dirty Atletico players have got some explaining to do. Nico was the first to get injured through a tackle, Sesko was then injured through a tackle as well, and Akamak being the third. 3 injuries in 1 game. Another draw with our much weakened team right now could have been a lot worse. So I wanted to bring in another striker option in Jason Van Duyven, a player I've used in the past to great success. His agent let on that he would be interested and not too expensive either. Perfect. So I managed to negotiate what I thought is a very good deal for a player that if we don't end up using could easily be the best backup striker we need or someone we could sell for a profit. Vinicius Tobias is another player I'm targeting who would be a good squad player for right back. Again, for a very cheap cost that works well in the youth to gold formula of buy low and sell high. Being light on the wing too when Ansu Fati is out means that we need a backup, and I'm torn between Nusa and Sheldrup. I end up going with the Norwegian due to using him before, knowing he can play centrally too, and for less than £6 million. Dion wants a new deal. He's already on a big wage considering we got rid of the high earners, and I said yes, and I'm thinking he's going to want a lot more. 400k plus. So I'm going to try and negotiate, but I very much doubt we can come to an agreement after him wanting some outrageous bonuses like playing him 75k for every international cap he makes. Imagine that. Unfortunately, no deal could be agreed upon, and I might have to look to sell him pretty soon. And right on time, Manchester City are now interested in De Jong, so I reduced his asking price down to £75 million and offered him out to see if they would bite. Knock knock, who's there? It's Manchester City. Deadline day and we secure the deals of players. Sheldrup in first, followed by Jason Van Duyven, followed by Vinicius Tobias. All 3 good signings in and 1 big one out in Frankie de Jong, who leaves the club. I like 2 guys who could potentially replace his role. One being Fatakanti from Roma, perfectionist personality, and Noah Bamba from Club Brugge, who's probably better technically. So guess what? I signed both. Youth to go, my friends, bringing in the best young talent and bringing in as many as possible, using the ones who become great and trying to profit from the rest. Eventually, if you sell players like De Jong in their prime, you will still make so much more profit. A big transfer window, but a £13 million profitable one nearly, whilst bringing in so many fresh young talents into the squad. With Nico being the guy I'm hoping that will step into De Jong's position. With the window now closed, Pedri gets the only goal in the league win versus Granada. And Sesko played amazingly well in a 4-0 win over Levante in the Cup. And from a 4-0 win to a 3-2 loss at home in the league. Brilliant. Araujo scored the only goal in the first leg of the Copa del Rey. Back to the league, and Villarreal has took the lead. Ferran Torres on the 28th minute provided an equaliser for us, followed by Benjamin Sesko 2 minutes later, scoring the winner to take the 3-point home. Europa League, and we have all our players back for this tie against Besiktas. And we kind of booked our spot into the next round with a 5-0 win. We do need a miracle though. 7 points behind Madrid in the league, and the board's patience might be wearing rather thin. However, we will have to finish this season in the next episode.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
2 cups to win, hopefully, and pulling off a miracle in the league, whilst trying to reduce this debt. And if that episode is out, make sure you click right here to watch it, or you can subscribe and make sure you do not miss the next episode of Youth to Gold. It's season 2 and things aren't going great. We were knocked out of the Champions League, so we need to reach the final of the Europa League and win the Copa del Rey, probably to save our job. At the same time as implementing the Youth to Gold system. We are only signing players under 20 years of age for reasonably cheap cost, whether they are options for the first team or future stars, or even just a player we can sell on for future profit. And we are selling our high-profile players with huge wages for big money like Frankie de Jong, or just to get the wage off of our books like Antoine Griezmann. So we've got 5 games before the El Clasico, including 2 second legs, so let's speed through these. Good start against Sporting Gijon, despite being 1-0 down to the 63rd minute. Followed by a loss to Besiktas, but we were already 5-0 up, so we win 6-2 on aggregate. Osasuna next, and Sesko smashes one across the box for Gavi to tap in. But one of the best goals I've ever seen on FM, where Ferran Torres flicked one in like prime Ronaldinho. Let's look at that in slow motion. Beautiful. And a third goal came from young Luca Romero, who was right place, right time. We booked our place to the Copa del Rey final with a 5-0 win against Betis, who are actually second in the league right now. Speaking of the league, we then went and lost at home to Celta Vigo. The football we then played against Lazio was unplayable. Ansu Fati gave us the lead in the 2nd minute, before some more sexy football helped him get a second in the 6th minute. And then to pick out a first half hat-trick by the 17th. He actually ended the game with 4 goals scored in the first 44 minutes and a 6-2 victory for a first leg win. In all this, I've just noticed we've dropped down to 5th place in the league. Lewandowski is tearing it up and must be stopped. And look, it's El Clasico up next. Fantastic. We have some injuries too. Pedri and Araujo, our 2 best players. Gavi is also struggling for fitness. So I picked the team, still strong, but Fatakanti is nowhere near ready for an El Clasico, and I'm not a huge fan of Eric Garcia, to be honest. And no shock that it was Robert Lewandowski who broke free from Eric Garcia and scored the opener. However, in the second half, Garcia went and proved me wrong with a great forward run and a beautiful pass to Trincao, who equalised. So a point is better than I expected. However, looking at the statistics, we were by far the better team. 22 shots, but we were just wasteful, unfortunately. We lost on the night against Lazio, but we won the tie, of course. And West Ham was the team to follow. Akamak scored 2 in the next game, which put us back into 2nd place. First leg away to West Ham, and Ansu Fati got onto the nothing ball to curl one into the corner. Eric Garcia got the second, and we are still looking strong in the Europa League. Either side of that though, we ate a loss to Sociedad and drew to Espanyol. We won the second leg when the cat abuser scored an own goal, and Sesko got our second in a 2-1 win, 4-1 on aggregate. Copa del Rey final time then, and another El Clasico too. Nico is suspended, and players around him are struggling conditioning wise. Pedri drops into the centre mid position, then Torres starts behind Sesko with business as usual elsewhere. Things started well when Trincao scored from the spot. In the second half, however, Nacho scored an equaliser, and this game went to extra time where the 112th minute, Militao committed a foul in the box from a corner, and VAR confirmed it was a penalty, and Militao received a 2nd yellow card and was off for an early bath. However, Araujo stepped up and he missed the penalty and the follow-up from the rebound. Araujo did score in the penalty shootout though to make it 4-3. Real Madrid evened it up though, and it went all the way through to Luca Romero, who scored. But Madrid then missed, and Barcelona are the Copa del Rey winners. Over to the Europa League then, and our first leg in Naples was a case of we will both score together, ending in a 3-3 draw. That then followed 2 wins against Betis and Valencia, who both at the time were in the top 4 with us. A player called Ramon Mas has come through the youth academy as a diamond prospect, just stamina and natural fitness that worries me, but he's a 6'5" centre-back with 17 positioning, 16 bravery and 15 decision makings. That's insane for a 15-year-old. He was born the year I left school. Second leg against Napoli to put us into the Europa League final. Let's go! And Ferran Torres scored a scrappy goal very late on to win the tie, where we will face AC Milan in the final. We demolished Eibar in the next league match, full of pressing and high intensity that they simply could not stop. Our youth really prevailed and showed us what they are capable of here. 29 shots and 14 on target, meaning despite the keeper conceding 5 goals, he was still their best player. Another win followed at home to Alaves with a heavily rotated team, which saw us qualify for the Champions League next year, and the board set initial budgets of £303 million. They never learn, do they? The final game was a draw to Getafe, which wouldn't have changed anything anyway, as Sevilla finished second place with 3 more points than us. Lewandowski beat 2 of our guys to the La Liga Player of the Year with his 39 goals this season. Oh boy, European final time, and it's at the Aviva Stadium in Ireland. And we are fully strengthened too. Everyone rested and ready to go. Shout out to Jordi Alba, who is playing his last game today, 12 years of being a Barcelona player. won so much, but unfortunately I don't really want to renew his contract using the youth to gold method. The game started when Milan broke down the right hand side with Brahim Diaz, who pulled one back to the edge area where their midfielder fired over. Milan were relentless, passing it around the back, holding possession before a quick turn of pace, and Brahim Diaz once again was played through, and he showed no composure, sending one into the stands. We finally got an opportunity in the 25th minute when Sesko played Alba in down the left to cut one back, but what a block from the defender from Trincão's shot. Trincão then took the following corner and Araujo hit the post. Second half, and Milan were careless with the ball when Kimpembe was tackled by Sesko, who went through on goal, only to be stopped by Mike Maignan. But in the 85th minute, and Alba wins a header, which Ansu Fati then played through Pedri, who then one-touch pass found Torres to score the most beautiful chip over the goalkeeper. 1-0 Barcelona, but from kickoff. We speed things up because Lorenzo Colombo is through and has the easiest chance of the night, but there is our hero ter Stegen, who makes a crucial save. From the corner, Milan also hit the post too. We were really riding our luck, but we held on. And we went on and lifted the Europa League. I mean, it's not the best season, but a Copa del Rey and a Europa League is good, I guess. Especially when you consider how young the majority of our squad is. But don't go going anywhere yet. Once we review this season, I'm going to hit you with some much needed transfer activity.
Get in!
Faticanti winning signing of the season, surprisingly. Money is going up on all fronts bar the competition prize money. Champions League exit obviously didn't help that. Araujo won players player, Trincão is young player of the season despite being 24 with the most assists, and Sesko wins top scorer. I tried to remove the signed high reputation players, but they were having none of it. What is the point in this on this game, by the way? I have never seen them remove anything. End of season meeting with all the players went well. Of course, I'm joking. PK hated me, saying that we can win the league despite him actually leaving at the end of the season, and everyone hated my response. I panicked, I'm sweating, I hate team meetings on Football Manager. Overall though, the dynamics of the locker room were pretty good. I had to check myself, and I had the support of the dressing room. The issues are basically players that just want high contracts. For instance, Ferran Torres wanted 400k, and I put my foot down. I said, no Ferran, you can only have 200k max, and he is asking for obscene bonuses. £2 million for just 5 goals. Trincão also wanted 450k a week, so it's time for him to go, and offer him out for £45 million as it's his final year. No offers, but it struck some interest from some big clubs, so I need to offer him out directly. Offering a player out directly to the clubs who are showing interest is a good way of getting an offer from them to start a bidding war. Remember to set it to unspecified amount though. And there we go, Manchester City have bid. I see if they would go up to £40 million, and they said yes. Rudy Bargi also helped Copenhagen to Europa Conference League success, and look above that article. Manchester United have matched the bid from City. Good news though, Gavi has signed a 5-year deal and Barcelona offered me a new contract, which of course I accepted. And there we go, another legend of Barcelona has retired. Goodbye, Gerard Piqué. Trincão has agreed to move to Manchester City. He is a great player, but those wage demands are just simply outrageous. On the ins, however, our scouts have found some cracking youngsters to add to our ever-growing shortlist. Starting off with Denis Limos. He has such a low release clause for Deportivo that it's too good to turn down. Being Spanish as well, and in a couple of years can be fantastic. Eric Felipe also looks like a quality prospect up top. Not too expensive, and only 17, so plenty of time to develop. Just like the centre-back Francisco Carlos, his pace might be slightly lacking, but over time, we can increase that. Finally, the right-back from Argentina, he is a bit of a risk, but a cheap risk that I feel if it doesn't come for a first-team player, he'll definitely turn a profit. This Galatasaray centre-back, though, is somebody who really catches my eye. 6'6", really good defensive attributes for a 17-year-old, and finally is willing to discuss transfers. Only around £6.5 million too, and it's a minimum risk transfer. Lombotto, though, he still doesn't want to discuss a move to Barcelona. This kid is just simply incredibly loyal, and it's very annoying. Of course, all of these transfer bids were accepted, and the contract demands were exactly what I had hoped. My only trouble with them is the minimum fee release clause being quite low, which I will try to increase as well as increasing the length of the contract or adding a contract extension. If it means I've got to pay them a little bit more, it's definitely worth doing. Only one player out the 5 did not want to discuss a move to Barcelona, that being the Argentinian right back, which I'm not too bothered by. I also forgot to mention I've already completed a move for a player who won't be joining us for a while yet until he's 18. Egyptian midfielder Ibrahim Allah. who has some fantastic attributes and only cost me 800k. That was a fantastic find through attribute searching. Attribute searching is when you go to a player search and you select 3 to 5 attributes for a position such as like first touch, passing and fitness if you are looking for a ball playing midfielder, and you simply search through who pops up and scout a player who looks interesting to see if the scouts rate their potential highly. It's easy. Seeing as we have brought in a lot of money, I thought I would ask the board for some more coaches, which you must always remember to keep increasing for the standard of training, as well as both training facilities and youth facilities. Finally, I want to know your thoughts. Where do you think we are weakest right now, and do you think that we possibly have to move away from the 4-2-3-1? Is there a shape or maybe even a player role that we should be integrating into this team to help us move forward? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure I'll enjoy reading them. Next episode, we may switch to like a 2-season per episode format as we go on to stage 3 of the Youth to Go. So if that has come out right now, I'll pop it up on the screen. But if not, make sure you subscribe, you turn that notification bell on so you do not miss it. Thank you very much. Last season, despite winning the Copa del Rey and the Europa League, we were poor in La Liga. Some big names and wages left the club, and new young talents have joined. And we are currently in negotiations for more, which means we are on the cusp of stage 3 of Youth to Gold now. Development and progress. Stage 3 is where I continue to bring in youth prospects and I build them, develop them, and turn them into future stars. So the format might change. We may go 2 seasons per episode to see this progression. And before we do kick on, I wanted to change the tactic to try and support the players we have a little bit more. Give it a little bit more width, using Gavi as a centre midfielder on attack to support the front, and let Nico roam as a playmaker with the fullbacks helping as inverted wingbacks. They always help the centre defence midfielder, making the instructions a little less complicated too, hoping that this will help. The board gave me a few more coaches and even agreed to upgrade the training facilities and youth facilities. And Jose Mourinho is back in La Liga. The debts are down at its lowest point, below £200 million. Although Ansu Fati wants a new contract, so we might have to reconsider debt payments. And yep, 450k a week. No chance. Time to be strict but fair. I guess giving him 300k a week is maximum I'm willing to go, with some additional bonuses, and thankfully he accepts this offer. Oh look, it's a domino effect. Araujo now wants a new deal. He isn't asking for anything too extreme, but the bonuses I'm gonna have to shill out here makes me feel sick. Chelsea in the UEFA Super Cup time, we have a lot of injuries, but that just gives us some opportunities for some younger lads trying to break into the first team. Andre Sheldrick gave us the lead when he cut inside and whipped one into the far corner. Mason Mount equalised in the second half, and 5 minutes later we gave Luis Diaz way too much space to score the second and the winner. 2 wins in August in the league and quite comfortable victories too. September was a strange month where we played 5 league games and only conceded 1 goal. But in that game we didn't score either, so we dropped all 3 points. The Betis game ended this month with Sesko getting a tap-in goal and Scalvini scoring off the back of a throw-in. October, however, was a lot worse, starting with a loss to Granada, who, fair play to them, absolutely battered us. Draws to Villarreal and Malaga seen out the month. The 7-0 win against Valencia just seemed really out of place. With Trincao gone and Rooney Bargi in the under-19 still, I wanted to give Akamak a chance in the first team. I feel like he's done well so far with 5 assists and 2 goals in 11 matches. And we started off November against Sociedad where Gavi gave us the lead. However, literally a minute later, we defended so poorly that they scored an equaliser. Our only league setback in November, however, with 2 wins and 7 goals followed with an El Clasico next. And despite us having an XG of 1.74, the score was still 0-0. 2 more wins that month though, and we currently sit top of La Liga by a point, Akamak with the most assists too. And I know I haven't mentioned the Champions League at all yet, but this was our group, and we play Liverpool first. There's no other way of putting it, they destroyed us. We were at home too, but they were just far more clinical than us, and they took their goals really well, all 3 of them. Again, we had a better XG, which tells me the tactic is definitely working, it was just the boys forgot their shooting boots today. We drew the next game too against Copenhagen. Things were really not looking great. Thankfully though, 3 wins in a row was enough to send us through in second place after losing to Liverpool on the final day, who topped the group. The draw was kind and we face Juventus in the next round. January transfer window opens and 2 new signings have joined us. Francisco Carlos is 6'6" with some fantastic potential and attributes and joins us from the Red Bull project in Brazil. Eric Felipe looks really promising too and also from Brazil. Youth to gold signings right there. Possibly we'll see them in the future. Accidentally won the Super Cup again, forced me to fork out all of that money and bonuses. Back to the league and we beat Celta Vigo 5-0 with all the goals being scored in the second half. After Ansu Fati injured himself, Rooney Badji came on and played incredible, setting up the first two and scoring himself. January overall was great, other than the 2-2 draw with Levante. Our deadline day was quiet too, just the 2 names in and an English academy player went out on loan. February was a weird month, knocked out the cup on penalties by Osasuna and dropped points against Cadiz. Battered Atletico Madrid 3-0 though, and we overcame Juventus in the first leg of the Champions League. Another win and a loss in that month sees us drop 6 points behind Real Madrid. March was similar as a loss to Valencia is going to harm our league campaign. However, back to the Champions League and despite visiting Turin we took control and scored with Pedri in the 6th minute. And to kill the tie off, Ansu Fati got another in the 43rd minute. Manchester City in the quarterfinals to come. Thomas Tuchel as manager now and Haaland is still there as a key player. The month started really well with a 4-0 win at Villarreal, and then we lost 4-0 to Manchester City. You would not believe what happened in the second leg though. Rooney Badji gave us the lead. Dedic did fantastic down the right hand side and found Luka in the box for a second. Ansu Fati fired in a third before half time, and the miracle happened when Ansu Fati leapt highest after a block shot to tie the leg 4-4. And it went down to penalties. And after the usual culprits found the back of the net, Elias Akamak put his penalty in and Laporte stepped up, smashed it down the middle where Ter Stegen stood strong to send us through. All of that and we have El Clasico next and the other Manchester team in the semi-final. With the hero at the Camp Nou, Ter Stegen out injured, we are vulnerable against Madrid. But the miracles continue when Sesko fired in a late winner at the Bernabeu. What isn't a miracle though is our under-19s. I told you they would dominate soon. 187 goals in 26 games. Hey, we are playing quality again though when Manchester City gave us a great fight at the Camp Nou with Sesko scoring a hat-trick and Rashford getting 2 in a 3-2 win for Barcelona in the semi-final first leg. Unfortunately though, we crumbled in the second leg and Rashford scored another 2 knocking us out of the semi-final. So I guess our focus turns to the league then. 4 points behind with 4 games to go. 3 wins in a row takes it down to the final game of the season against Celta Vigo. 3 points behind Real Madrid too, with the better head-to-head record over them. And we did our job, destroying Celta Vigo 5-0 without even having top scorer Sesko on the pitch, who was injured for this match. With incredible performances from Ansu Fati, Gavi and Rooney Badji. It wasn't enough, however. Real Madrid win on the final day and lift the La Liga trophy for the second time in the row. Mainly thanks to the 43 goals from Bobby Lewandowski. Okay, back to the pre-season vault then, don't go anywhere yet. We still have another season to get through. The debt is now down to £167 million too, so let's see what we've done this summer. Well, in June, we actually cleared a lot of the debts according to this news article. And on July 1st, we welcomed 8 new signings and said goodbye to Umtiti. We did make more deals for players who aren't old enough to move yet, or Scottish forward Jordan Ross, who we agreed to complete in a year's time to allow him more first-team football at Sheffield United. With the window now closed, we brought in a good amount of youth prospects whilst loaning out a few players too, moving some to Barcelona B and no real big departures. This is stage 3 of Youth to Gold now. It's all about the development, creating their next generation before stage 4, selling the first generation. But right now, other than Ter Stegen in goal, our first generation is incredibly young and can last a couple more years unless we get unrejectable offers in. And the debt has been cleared. We are 9th in the club reputation though, which is ultimately my longest goal to achieve on this save. Of course, winning the Champions League too, and our group has been drawn for this season, and it's the club who knocked us out and won it last season, Manchester United, the holders, with Club Brugge and Porto. So let's fast forward a couple of months because we have played incredibly well and are unbeaten this season. 2 draws in the league with Betis on the opening day and Valencia. But our best part of this period happened when we took the 3 points in El Clasico, when Torres scored a beautiful first and Sesko and Romero caught Madrid on the counter late on the second goal. Followed 3 days later by a win at Old Trafford when Sesko got himself 2 goals in a 2-1 win. And we are flying high in both competitions. Fast forward to the new year and we have lost both United at home and Club Brugge away from home, but still we are unbeaten in La Liga, only topped by 3 points as Madrid has won the same amount of games, and after topping the group above United, we still get a difficult tie against PSG in the Champions League. Eric Garcia is 25 now and not getting much football, and he's quite unhappy about it. Dortmund have put in an offer, and I've asked them successfully to move the initial fee to £20 million with the £7 million add-ons. Good deal. So I head to Barcelona B and I call up Francisco Carlos. Deadline day closes and just a couple of goalkeepers join in, mainly because I know ter Stegen is going to be a huge loss when he retires or leaves, so I'm stockpiling the good ones now to make sure we have some options. Going forward a bit, and there are wins everywhere, including the away leg to PSG in the Champions League. But the most impressive performance was Rooney Badji scoring 5 goals away to Getafe from playing as a right midfielder. He was exceptional in this match and really cemented his position in the starting 11 since Trincao left last year. We progressed through the quarterfinals against PSG with a 3-2 home win as well in the Champions League. However, we lost our first league match in El Clasico of all matches and then followed that on with another loss to Sevilla. We are still top, however, by 4 points, and we have Manchester City next in the Champions League. The first leg included 2 very late goals at the Camp Nou. But unlike last season against Manchester City, we were eliminated from the competition in the quarterfinals when our old pal De Jong put through Frimpong to score the first. But following that, another ex-midfielder, Mariba, created an attack where eventually Mbappe put the ball in our net. 3-1 to City on aggregate. So just concentrating on the league then, 4 points ahead with 4 games to go. And with 1 win and 1 draw, I was worried. However, Sevilla defeated Madrid, leaving us 5 points ahead with 2 games left, Atletico Madrid up next. But we only needed 1 of those games and we did it in style. Starting off with Pedri's free kick, we completely dominated Atletico Madrid, having 27 shots with 12 on target and scoring 5 goals with no response. Meaning, we got to hold the La Liga trophy aloft in front of our home crowd after 2 seasons without it. And we are back on the top of Spain where we belong. We just need to keep developing talent to make sure we always have someone hungry to take a spot and forever make more money. This is how you do a youth to gold save right. And of course, once we are kings of Europe again and top of the world reputation, then my job here is not over. So I hope you're enjoying the series. I hope you don't mind the change in format, but we really need to progress in this youth to gold save. So if the next episode is out, make sure you click it right here. If not, subscribe so you do not miss it. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Seeing as we progressed 2 seasons last episode, I thought I would showcase some of the development of the first team players over the last couple of years, and take a gander at some of the players from the development centre, as when we get to stage 4 and we need to replace the current first team players, these are going to be the players that we will be promoting. Last season we took the league title again after not winning the last 2 years, but a quarter-final exit to Manchester City and a poor performance in the Copa del Rey. So what's the game plan? Stage 3 continues. We continue to develop the youngsters that we already have before the first team players get to the age where we sell them on and replace them. So for now, we go to the end of the season and beyond. We are still 9th in the world reputation as well, which we want to become top using the youth to gold method. I began the summer replacing the assistant manager to Klopp's assistant Linders, who is world class. First signing is a goalkeeper who was released by Bayern, who's only 18 and looks brilliant. Speaking of free players, Clement is a signing that I doubt we will ever see in the first team. He was released by Monaco and I plan to flip him for money in the next couple of years. Stephen Gold, however, is a striker we've brought in from Mexico. He was brought from Villa a couple of seasons ago, but he's developed into a beast and £8 million was all he cost. And don't forget Jordan Ross. He is officially our player now, although we have loaned him back to Sheffield United and he's continuing to score a lot of goals, so we definitely have options in the future for strikers. On the outs, there were mainly loans, but we did sell Vinicius Tobias back to Shakhtar for £10 million, which we still made profit from. We just don't need him now with Serginho Dest playing, despite Juve having bids accepted but never completed a deal. We've started strong though with 3 wins, including an opening day 3-0 win against Celta Vigo, with Sesko proving he is ready to get better and better firing in 2 goals. Our Champions League group contained Juventus, PSV and Zurich. Should be fine. Things started a lot better than fine. Sesko put in performance of the season as he opened the scoring in the first minute for us, and we were simply fantastic. Scoring 5 goals and not letting Juve have one thing to celebrate. 5-0 in the opening game is exactly what we needed. And although the Catalan derby went well, El Clasico did not. Don Carlo was still there, by the way, as was his friend Robert Lewandowski, aged 38. The only loss we took so far though, and Sesko is on fire. Spoke too soon, 94-minute loss. And what is this about? And this, 1-1 in Zurich. Thankfully, we have Rooney, who in Sesko's absence is now picking up hat-tricks like in this 7-1 win at home to Almeria. But we were still trailing Real Madrid in La Liga by 5 points, but top in our Champions League group. And in November, we could not be stopped. Ending the month with a Sesko hat-trick to defeat Atletico Madrid in the 94th minute. And closing the gap to Real Madrid by just 2 points, and already qualifying in the Champions League with our final game against Juve to win the group. Which we failed to do. Brilliant. We did destroy Valladolid 8-0 however, and Rayo Vallecano 7-0 away from home. We still trail Real Madrid, but Sesko, despite playing less games, is beating Lewandowski in the Golden Boot race, and Gavi has 5 more assists than anyone else in the league so far. And for the 3rd year in a row, we've been drawn against Manchester City in the Champions League. So many good stats from our players though, including Sesko getting 30 goals so far in just 21 games, and Rooney with 17 goals and 10 assists, which is also fantastic. Which has stopped Lewandowski from winning 5 Ballon d'Ors in a row. Benjamin Sesko is your 2026 Ballon d'Or winner. We've won 5 FIFA Best Under 21 Men's Players though, with Rooney winning his first. PSG came in with a huge bid for Pedri, but he's simply way too good to sell, and at this point, he's nowhere near the age we look to sell with youth to gold in mind, so I'm happy to reject that offer. They come back with a £107 million offer, but again, I'm not accepting. We continue to progress well in the league and Copa del Rey, winning every single game. Now joint on points with Madrid, but Lewandowski has scored 1 more goal than Sesko. The real race that everybody is interested in. And after 2 cup wins and 2 league wins, it's El Clasico next. But not before we beat Manchester City in the Champions League first leg 2-0, with Sesko scoring both. We actually go into El Clasico top of the league by 5 points, and this is because Madrid drew to Betis and lost to Sociedad. Weirdly, they are against the other Manchester team in the Champions League, and we just come off a big win too. We are basically fully strengthened. We took the lead when Sesko wore an invisibility cloak and Thiat passed the ball right to him. Madrid then scored 2 minutes later however, and then the match was flipped on its head when Ramon Mas decided to just nail the Real Madrid defender for no reason and was eventually shown the red card. Somehow though, we played as if we were a player stronger, and Ansu Fati was a huge part of that. He scored a couple of goals. Arthur Thiat got a consolation, and we still score another late one for Fati to get his hat-trick, and the game ended 5-2 Barcelona. And that put us 8 points clear with 13 games left. Although we were missing both centre-backs, we kept City quiet to the dying minutes. Haaland got the first, we got the second thinking we were safe, but Raheem Sterling did score late on to give us a bit of a worry. We actually took a loss right after that too to Almeria. April looked exciting with Chelsea in the quarters of the Champions League and Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey final. First leg was tight as both strikers scored in the first half. Rooney put us 2-1 up right after half time, but Kai Havertz equalised and the tie stayed 2-2. Unfortunately for us, they destroyed us in the second leg, and the quarter-final exit of the Champions League was our fate. But it's Copa del Rey time, and Lewandowski scores within 10 minutes. Thankfully, we have Benjamin Sesko, who equalises. No, Lewandowski scores his second 2-1. All good, we've got Gavi as well, 2-2. And Ansu Fati, 3-2, with just 10 minutes left. Hat-trick Lewandowski, 3-3. Extra time and Ansu Fati scores his second. It's 4-3. 121st minute, Fikayo Tomori takes this to penalties. And then something I never thought I would see, but we actually missed our first 3 penalties. What a terrible performance. I hate penalty shootouts. So I guess we just focus on the league then, where Real Madrid have closed the gap down to 2. And this is down to us losing and drawing a game this month. Didn't lose to Atletico Madrid though, 7-0 win. What? And Real Madrid dropped 2 points. We followed that up with a 5-0 and a 4-0 win with another Sesko hat-trick. And so, with just 2 games left, we just need 1 win, but Benjamin Sesko is still 1 goal behind Robert Lewandowski. However, Villarreal had other plans and beat us 1-0. Real Madrid are just a point behind us and Lewandowski has scored 2 more. Don Carlo's team scored in the 96th minute in their last game to win through Jack Harrison. So how did we do? Well, that man, Benjamin Sesko, scored 3 goals in a 6-0 victory against Granada to secure the La Liga trophy back-to-back on the final day of the season. Although we won the league title, Lewandowski scored 1 more goal on the final day to take the golden boot away from Benjamin Sesko. Swings and roundabouts. Julian Nagelsmann's Chelsea went on to win the Champions League against Liverpool 2-1 as well. Well, it's time for the summer holidays. Looking at youth teams, Jane Vincent is definitely someone that looks ready for the first team. Statistically, Sesko, Baji and Fati were insane this year for goals, and Gavi with 31 assists as well was also impressive. And Jordan Ross has gained an unbelievable amount of growth while out on loan at Sheffield United, scoring a lot of goals in the Premier League. Looking at my current first team, Ter Stegen is old, but there's nobody really there to place him that's ready yet. Ronald Araujo is prime age to be sold in youth to gold system, and the clubs are after him, with some good replacements that aren't at his level yet, but will get there through some game time. Same with Ferran Torres too, who is mainly a squad player anyway. Selling him would be a bigger priority for me. Prime age for the biggest money to sell if I can get that from clubs around Europe. First game of the season when we travelled to Getafe, who scored the opener. And we failed to fight our way back into the game at all. On the stroke of half-time, they got another. All we could do was score a very late goal through Gavi to lose our first game of the season. And it's El Clasico up next as well. Brilliant. We went with the same lineup and just hoping that they perform better. Benjamin Sesko kicked things off for us with a goal on the 11th minute. He picked up a second just before half-time. However, Yeremy Pino pulled Real Madrid back into the game with half an hour remaining. But the 2026 Ballon d'Or winner picked up his hat-trick. And yet there was still another time for the best goal of the game scored by debutant Jordan Ross, who played fantastic. 1-2 to fire in our 4th. Gave up a 2-0 lead against Betis though. Deadline day, along with a mandatory fee, came in for Ferran Torres and I'm going to accept. £60 million for him and a big wage leaves after that year. I was then shocked to see Bayern Munich wanted a youth centre-back as a first-team player. But looking at the squad Pochettino has, I can see why. He should be their second best centre-back behind Upamecano. He's only 20 years of age, but he looks like a monster. He's 6'5" with 17 pace, agility, and jumping reach. That's insane. A good year there learning while we look to move Araujo on could be a good move for both parties. Ignore that actually, Bayern Munich couldn't get the deal done in time. And Ferran Torres rejected Milan too. Right, okay then. So the transfer window has ended. I did actually loan out Worrell in the end to Shakhtar so he can play some Champions League football. And a lot of loan deals taking place as well. Transfers out in Bamba leaving for £10 million and Recalde joining for £21 million, who looks to be a good Spanish midfielder. Sheldrup was another player we say goodbye to for £12.5 million, and some more really good youngsters who have joined for really cheap costs. Our Champions League group should be very easy, so let's fast forward to Christmas. La Liga form ended well with 4 wins in December, but we did have a bumpy patch in the middle where another 2 losses in a row and 2 draws. The highlights definitely being a 7-2 win over Atletico Madrid and a 6-0 win over Valencia with goals from Rooney Badji, who got 2. Ferran Torres, who also picked up a brace. His second being a screamer, cutting in from the left-hand side and supporting Cas Pedri with the 5th before half-time, and Ross getting up for a corner for the 6th. We topped the Champions League group, winning 6 from 6 and drawing Man United in the knockouts. Benjamin Sesko wins back-to-back Ballon d'Ors, and it's great to see Gavi in second place too. El Clasico next, and with some injuries and suspensions, I've had to call up 2 midfielders in Ala and Recalde from Barcelona B, moving Pedri back to the shadow striker role. But Arthur Thiat scored the only goal of the game for Madrid, which then put us 9 points behind them. Lewandowski has retired, by the way, but over to the semi-final of the Copa del Rey, we lost 3-1. Luckily, this is a 2-legged competition, remember. And Jordan Ross inspired a great comeback with a hat-trick in a 5-1 win, putting us in the final against Real Madrid. Jordan Ross keeps his position as striker ahead of Ballon d'Or winner Sesko in the final and played a big part in the opening goal by Rooney in the 2nd minute. I wasn't really ready for the left-back Balde hitting the sweetest shot of his career for the 2nd. Gavi got another 4 minutes later and we were 3-0 up at the break. But we continued and Jordan Ross picked up his goal of the game before Madrid scored a penalty to make it 4-1. But Sesko came off the bench to remind us of his quality, scoring the final goal of the game. Barcelona lift the Copa del Rey for the first time in 4 seasons. Over to the league, and not only can we not stop scoring, but we've also stopped conceding too. Carlos Madrid, however, have been dropping points left, right and centre. 3 draws since January and 1 loss, which actually puts us on level points with Madrid, but top of the league on head-to-head and goal difference. And our form continued in April, non-stop wins in La Liga. Madrid have melted like a chocolate teapot, however, and only picked up 1 win all month in the only game that they actually scored in. So with 3 games left, we just need 1 win for the three-peat of the league. And we got that win in the next game against Mallorca, where we put 3 goals past them, capped off with a Luca Romero strike. We actually won the last 2 games too, meaning we won 2 out of the 3 competitions with just the Champions League left. So let's go back in time to our first leg against Manchester United. In what was the craziest game of the season, the tie finished 5-5 at Old Trafford, with Gabriel Jesus scoring the 96th minute equaliser. The second leg began with Gavi scoring a worldie into the top bin. Manchester United equalised with Goretzka from a corner. Rooney Baji was then put in on the 32nd minute to fire in a second for us. Gavi then picked up an assist from a corner with Jordan Ross scoring. But Manchester United could only muster 1 more goal through Marcus Rashford, meaning we won the leg 8-7. I don't know why this keeps happening, but from Manchester United again, we go to Manchester City. We seem to play them every single year. Anyway, we continue to play amazing and won our home leg 3-1 through goals by Fati, Gavi and Jordan Ross. City started the second leg fast when Mariba, a former Barcelona youth prospect, assisted Erling Haaland. Fortunately, putting our trust in Jordan Ross in the cup matches over Sesko has been a great play for us, as he does brilliantly to score a header. And Ansu Fati's pace was too much for City's defence to put us through to the semi-final against Liverpool. Klopp is still there and they won this competition 2 seasons ago. Now we've had many highs and many fantastic comebacks in this series, but after finding ourselves 3-0 down early on at Anfield, we were going to need one. But that's not today. Liverpool scored another, and another, and another, and a 7th. We even lost the second leg 2-0, and Liverpool went on to beat Bayern Munich on penalties to win the whole thing. But I do have a question for you. Now that we have Jordan Ross and Benjamin Sesko scoring goals, do we chance it and go 2 up top? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section whether we should do that, but if the video is already up, I'll stick it up on the screen right now. If it isn't, why not check out this video where we try and break a record. I sold Dedic to Villarreal, and I negotiated a £110 million offer from Liverpool for Scalvini. He's good, but he wants to leave, and we have some great prospects ready to step up. So I spent some time scanning the players my scouts found who are 19 or younger, looking for players with good potential that have good personalities such as professional or determined, and putting a lot of offers for future prospects. So a quick recap then, we have won 3 titles in a row, and we won our first Copa del Rey for 4 years. But with 2 quarterfinal exits and an embarrassing 9-0 semi-final exit, it's the Champions League we've been failing at. We have jumped up 2 spots in the European rankings, and a good Champions League is well overdue to bump us back up to the top. There are still some remaining debts left that are going to be there for a while. Ferran Torres has finally left the club to join PSG for £40 million. I decided not to change the tactic this season, sticking with 1 up top for now, with Jordan Ross starting the season up front. Mainly because we only have 3 out-and-out strikers to use right now, with a couple who need a little bit more development. And my decision was justified when Ross opened the scoring in a 6-1 victory against Betis to start the season off. He actually went on to score a hat-trick in this game, starting the season with a bang. Our Champions League group was drawn, and shock, we will play Manchester City yet again. We took an early season loss to Granada when missing both Jordan Ross and Ansu Fati, but looking at our attacking force, we are well and truly spoiled. From Ross up top to Rooney Baji, Ansu Fati, Pedri, and now Jean Vicente, as well as Gavi. We have an unbelievable strike force. Transfer window closed, so let's take a brief look at the talent we have brought in. 8 players in total, all 19 and under when they signed, and all have decent potential with what looks like a good base to begin with. And really, for not too much money, with £13 million being the most expensive and only £14 million in total, the same price we sold Ferran Torres for. Good business. A relationship between Ross and Pedri flourished in the early part of the seasons, especially in this 5-0 win against Huesca, where Pedri scored 4 and Ross got 1 all in the first half. Ross, though, really connected with any of our attacking players. He's an animal who just cannot be stopped, scoring numbers even beyond what Sesko has got us for in the past. And in the league, only Villarreal could stop us and hold on to a draw since that first loss. In the Champions League, we took 2 wins from 2 against Copenhagen and Roma, so we did really start well. In La Liga, we were trailing unbeaten Athletic Bilbao, but Jordan Ross has 12 goals in 8 games so far. He is an absolute stud at just 21 years old. We took the lead against Manchester City, but it didn't last long. Just 5 minutes later, Pedri's mistake led to Erling Haaland's interception and Bernardo Silva equalised. Our defence in this game was awful. Haaland benefited yet again with the second from poor positioning, and again for the third when Ederson's ball over the top wasn't dealt with by Carlos and Haaland smashed one in. We only conceded the 1 goal in October too and continued to play amazingly well. Even Sesko got back in the action with a first half hat-trick in Ross's absence and Vicente with 4 assists in that game. And we took that league form through November with another 3 wins, including a 4-0 win to Bilbao, which pops us top spot with Madrid chasing closely, a point behind and unbeaten. We even got our own back on Manchester City when we embarrassed them at the Camp Nou, Gavi picking up the first couple of goals to send us on our way to a 5-1 victory. Everything was going right for us, and the squad-wise, this could be our best yet. All good then, right? Wrong. We took a random loss to Roma in the Champions League, plus 2 really bad draws against Espanyol and Eibar. But still, with 20 games left remaining, 2 El Clasicos, we trail Madrid by just 3 points. And to no surprise at all, we drew Manchester United in the Champions League again. Francisco Carlos broke his arm, and while we will be missing him for a while, we head to the development centre to fill his role using Serbian summer signing Marjan Bojic, who looks quite promising. First League El Clasico, and we do still have a strong team with Vicente starting on the right and Baji sat on the bench. Pedri got on the end of Ross's header for the only goal of the game, in a very tight contest, just what we needed. Those points were then lost in a 5-2 loss to Real Betis. A huge offer then came in for Jane Vicente, which I don't want to accept. Stephen Goals handed in a transfer request and it spurred a lot of offers, none of which I deemed high enough, and I offered him out for 40 million. Other bids for Dest and Recalde all rejected. And we eventually sold Stephen Gold for £31 million to Aston Villa. He's a good player, we just can't give him the game time right now, and a good profit was made. So we brought Eric Felipe up from Barcelona B to help the squad out. On we go forward, and the next couple of months were kind to us in La Liga, only dropping 2 points away to Real Sociedad. So many goals scored from many different players, including of course Jordan Ross. Just like a first half hat-trick against Getafe, where really he was just deadly off the back of some fantastic attacking plays from the quarterbacks behind him. First leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final against Real Madrid, and we take a commanding 2-0 win. Over to the Champions League and the Camp Nou versus United, where Jesus gave them the lead. Jane Vicente does well to cut inside on his left and grab the equaliser. But right on half-time, Jadon Sancho puts United back ahead. But in the 93rd minute, after piling on the pressure, English Youth Academy graduate Sonny Patterson scored to take us tied into the second leg, where another Englishman, Ben Worrell, scored the first goal in the second leg. And Old Trafford wept as Serginho Dest scored the last goal of the tie, eliminating Manchester United. Back to the Copa del Rey, and due to a lot of fixture congestion, we played a fully rotated squad and got destroyed 5-0. That's not great. 3 more wins and a draw continues a good run in the league though. PSG in the Champions League, and despite conceding the first couple of minutes, they went a man down when Hakimi got himself sent off, which then allowed us to mount a good comeback in a 4-2 victory where Ramon Mas, Rooney Baji and finally Nico scored the 4th. This put us in a prime position to make it to the semi-finals, but looking at that league, Real Madrid have fallen 9 points behind us. Another 3 losses for them and a draw, which is not great. What is funny is we actually play them on the final day of the season. But in a very entertaining second leg, both teams tried to one-up each other. Given our 2-goal lead from the first leg, we always felt safe and we won 7-5 on aggregate, taking us to the semi-final of the Champions League. And guess who's waiting for us in that semi-final? Of course, it's Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. And it's over to Anfield for the first leg, so let's go. Of course, this is Scalvini's new team, but he couldn't prevent us from scoring the first from Alisson's weak clearance. But Ramon Mas made a big mistake for the equaliser, and then couldn't handle Chiesa, who then gave Liverpool the lead. Mo Salah scored right on the stroke of half-time to make it 3-1, but Trent gifted us a second, and Rooney Baji scored an unreal free kick to make it 3-3. Salah, however, put Liverpool back in front, and it took us until the 87th minute to score score our fourth through Elias Akamak. 8 points clear in the league with 5 to go, so let's go straight into the second leg. It took half an hour for the deadlock to be broken when we slipped Rooney Bashi through to slot one home. Liverpool simply had no response and Jordan Ross got a second before Rooney Bashi topped it off to put us in the final of the Champions League for the very first time. And of course, it had to be Manchester City in the final as well. We wrapped up the league against our Catalan rivals Espanyol on a 4-0 win, even defeating Real Madrid 3-0 at the Bernabeu on the final day of the season. 4 in a row now, and Jordan Ross is getting 39 goals. Phenomenal. So it's over to Nagelsmann City, and I am terrified. Haaland up front, Mbappe on the wing with Jeremy Pino, 2 former Barcelona midfielders and Lautaro Martinez on the bench. And the final was to be played at the Bernabeu. Within 4 minutes of the game beginning, Erling Haaland broke the offside trap and gave Manchester City the lead. 2 minutes is all it took for Jean Vicente to slot in an equaliser at the near post. And in the 13th minute, a very similar situation when Pedri found Vicente again to give us the advantage, 2-1. But this was Manchester City, and Erling Haaland held the ball up to lay it off for Ilyas Mariba, who smashed one in to make it 2-2. And our defence got caught napping moments later, where Jeremy Pino was found to chip the goalkeeper. And unfortunately, we gave all we could give, and Erling Haaland scored City's 4th. So close, but not close enough. Another year of development and maybe even a 2-striker tactic, we could have an even better season. Jordan Ross scored 54 goals and with just 49 starts, and Jean Vicente with a very impressive first season too. So let's pick ourselves up and go again. Jordan Ross is now a superstar. Vicente is a stud too and has developed incredibly well. And plenty to be positive about in the development centre, with a lot of targets to go for around the world. Domestically, we say happy retirement to our biggest rival, Don Carlo. What a legend. City have come in with a bid for Jordan Ross, which I obviously expected would happen, and I reject it anyway. Wow, £140 million bid for him now. If it wasn't for the fact that we financially were quite great, I would probably accept. I've also set up a 2-striker tactic to try in the games where we should be dominating, because occasionally we do draw these games, as well as the third tactic against these tricky sides where we seem to fall in Europe, where we will try to adopt a more traditional Barcelona 4-3-3. We also promote Jordi to the first team to contend with Ansu Fati from the left, and even up front. Jordi is a player who came through the youth academy, with players like Goita going out on loan for some extra development. But we have made some signings, bringing in some potential future first teamers, and all for the total cost of just £23 million. I then sold 3 players who were around 22, who are not quite good enough for the first team, to make some profit this month, including Kevin Clement, who, if you remember, we signed for a free transfer and sold a couple of seasons later for £15 million. First game of the new season, and Sevilla is the opponents. And we are going to rock the 2-striker tactic. Sesko and Ross up front, Fati from the left, Pedri in behind, and Jean Vicente on the right. Deadly. And we were definitely right to go for it, as we dominated Sevilla and scored 5 goals without a response, with 27 shots and 13 of them on target. It could have been a lot worse for Sevilla. And that's Jose Mourinho's side too. He does get around. Speaking of managers, Roger Schmidt has taken over the Real Madrid job. And this 2-striker tactic is working, by the way. 12-0 away win. Sesko with 3, Jordan Ross with 6. And that is the biggest win in La Liga history. The Champions League group has been drawn. Juve is our biggest test. And the first 3 games, I thought I would risk the 2-striker tactic. 5-0 against Servette. Then we went on to score 4 goals in the away trip, 4-1 to Juventus. Topped with another away win to Porto, 3-1. So I felt quite comfortable playing it for the rest of the group, where we went on to beat Porto 4-0, Juventus 6-3, and our second 11 unfortunately got a 1-1 draw with Servette. Of course, we topped the group and will face Inter Milan in the knockouts. So let's focus on the first half of La Liga. I looked towards the 2 up top tactic for a while and popped off with more results like this 9-1 win. In some games, it genuinely felt like there was a massive competition between Sesko and Ross, who is going to get the first 50 goals this season. Because let me tell you, these guys did not stop scoring. Like this 6-1 win over Villarreal, where they both got, again, a hat-trick. And the first time a team stopped us from taking all 3 points was Celta Vigo in a 4-4 draw at the Camp Nou. But the date of this game was the 8th of December. We have literally won every single game other than that draw in the league so far. including a victory in El Clasico, where we really welcomed Roger Schmidt into the league with a 5-1 victory at the Bernabeu. It seemed like the two-striker tactic is just too strong attacking-wise to contain, and with our attacking talents, nobody stands a chance. 11 points clear after just 17 games, and Jordan Ross with 27 goals, Sesko just behind him on 23. Could this be our year? Find out the next episode, and if that's out, I'll pop it up on the screen right now, but if it isn't, subscribe, and thank you very much for all of your support on the Youth to Gold series. We've dominated the first half of the season, only dropping 2 points, with just the 73 goals from our two strikers so far this season. Beating finalists last season, our main focus is our Champions League tie against Inter Milan. We are getting huge bids for Jordi come through of up to £82 million. And January we took our first loss of the season to Athletic Bilbao. No need to panic though, the two-striker tactic is still performing well. I believe fixture congestion just got the better of us there. But our boys Ross and Sesko are still scoring plenty. Although Sesko will miss a few games now, meaning Jordi or even Eric Felipe can step up. But I had a busy deadline day bringing in 3 18-year-old players that my scouts had found since the summer window, all rated at 5-star potential, and all for the cost of around 20 million. I also received a loan to buy offer for Akamak for around 22 million, which I thought was acceptable and a good time for his departure. And it pays for the 3 we've just brought in. And then he rejected the offer. Never mind. Approaching the Champions League tie with Inter, we've hit a weird spell, dropping 2 points late against Elche, and Sevilla eliminating us from the Copa del Rey, from Luka Jovic capitalising on Araujo's mistake for not dealing with the long ball, who ironically then is complaining to his teammates for not winning the domestic cup. What? Inter Milan then. We are missing Ramon Mas and Gavi through injury, but we are still going to rock the 2 up top to see how we go with Ross and Sesko up there, and Ansu Fati, who's been banging the goals too from the left, Vicente from the right, and Pedri through the middle. Nico slots in at DM, and in defence Francisco Carlos shoots to the right to fill in for Mas. It's a position he can still play naturally despite being 6'6" with 20 jump in reach. The deadlock was broken when Sesko intercepted a throw in to find Jordan Ross, who also scored the second from the spot, and the game finished 2-1 when single cross for Salamiakis. A good result at the Giuseppe Meazza. An 8-0, a 3-1 and a 7-2 followed this game, with the second leg being followed by El Clasico. Second leg, I went to the classic 4-3-3 to pack out the midfield. We struggled in the last game, so let's just be sensible. And it was a smart move. We dominated the game and took the lead through Ross, who popped up at the back post to score a second, before Pedri found space to fire in a third. El Clasico, and we revert back to the 2 up top with some changes down the left to freshen up some legs, and the return of Ramon Mas. Pedri kicked things off with a screamer. Jordi then got the second, and Real Madrid finally woke up, but Jordi got on the end of a tackle, and we took the game by the throat again when Sesko chipped the goalkeeper. Ramon scored an own goal to make it 4-2, but Sesko got his second, and we take the 3 points. From one Milan team to the other as we draw AC Milan in the quarterfinals, and both Manchester teams draw each other, meaning we definitely can't play both teams again this season. Thank God. 3 more big wins and 16 goals scored. Let's head to the quarterfinals. And again, we rock the classic 4-3-3 to try and control the midfield to give Jordan Ross the rest on the bench alongside Jordi. Reason is because they also play 4-3-3, so I trusted our ability and we scored through Carlos in just 13 minutes. Pedri doubled our lead through an unreal free kick, and Sesko's desire was amazing on the hour mark to make it 3. Milan did score when a shot ricocheted off the bar into the second for an own goal, but it was still a good result. But on the 12th of April, we were already crowned champions without even playing on that day. And that was due to Elche's 91st minute winner over Real Madrid. 19 points clear with a game in hand and 6 still to play. Second leg of the Champions League, and we see the 4-2-3-1 return. And it took just 12 minutes for Jordan Ross to score and put us 4-1 up on aggregate. Ansu Fati then scored on the 28th and the 29th minute, and the tie was all but done. A 5-1 win in the end and an 8-2 win on aggregate puts us into the semi-final against Chelsea, led by Niko Kovac. Being away from home, I went with a 4-3-3 again to try and control the midfield, bringing Gavi back to join Pedri and Nico, with Ross given the nod up top. And in a tight contest, Ben Worrell scored the only goal of the first leg. Second leg, I went with the 2 up top. I think we can overrun their 4-4-2 tactic at home. Chelsea though, they scored 4 goals. Not good. We did score 2 though. Vicente got the first, and at 4-2 down, Sesko scored late, And on the 82nd minute, Pedri equalised on aggregate to take it to extra time. But with the very last kick of the game, in the 120th minute, Benjamin Sesko stepped up and scored and sent us through to back-to-back Champions League finals. And of course, it's our old foes, Liverpool, who awaits us. Managed by Jurgen Klopp still. We ended the season on weird form, drawing 1-1, losing 1-0, and then winning 9-0 on the last game of the season. Winning our 5th championship in a row on 99 points, as well as Jordan Ross scoring 51 goals. Not bad at all for a 22-year-old. This is also ter Stegen's final game in football as he prepares for his retirement. And Liverpool are expected to run a 4-3-3 as well, with Yusufa Moukoko sat up top. So we look to match that 4-3-3 with a 4-3-3 of our own. Ross getting the nod up top, which I do feel bad for Sesko for sure. Vicente and Fati on the wings, and in the midfield, Pedri, Gavi and Nico. Balde on the left, Ramon Mas on the right, with Francesco and Worrell at the back ahead of ter Stegen. The best assist I've seen helped us open the scoring when Vicente backheeled the ball into the box to Pedri. Liverpool came back and equalised before half-time through Chiesa, but the second half we came at them again, and before long, Ansu Fati scored a fantastic shot off the bar to make it 2-1, but there was still time for one more. And of all the players, it was Serginho Dest who broke through and chipped the goalkeeper to make it 3-1. And just like that, we are champions of Europe. Now, although this isn't the end of the series, we have achieved a big goal in the Youth to Goal journey. And we actually ended a 7-year reign of English clubs winning the competition as well. Two things here. We've jumped up in reputation to 5 stars, which is exactly what we need, but also how the hell is Jordan Ross not in the top 5 most shirts sold at the club? He scored 62 goals in a season with a 2-striker formation. Now, it was a great season, but with a quarter-final exit at the Copa del Rey, it wasn't perfect. We've cracked the top 4 of the World Reputation rankings, and there's still £288 million of debt left, so there's still a job here to be done, so don't go anywhere just yet. Now, I get a lot of comments like this from Joe asking how I get all of the world-class talents that I managed to bring in, and like I mentioned in the reply, I don't tend to show the players that flop. Signing the amount of players that I do means that some of these players slip through the cracks and never amount to a profit or a first-team spot. Kinda like Jason Van Duyven, a big L, and even this season, Eric Felipe, who's leaving on a free transfer because he didn't get any game time. The important thing is that you tip the scale in your favour with the successful ones, that you sell for a profit or continue to do this for a number of years. As for how I find the players, every month or two I check the scouted players from my assignments, and every 6 months I do some attribute searching where I pick a couple of attributes per position and look for interesting talents. Kinda like this Israeli player I found through attribute searching. Turns out my scouts already looked at him, but I must have missed him. It's such a low transfer offer I accepted that I go for it knowing that I can just sell him on for more. Or Valenzuela, a fantastic looking striker from Mexico who cost me just less than £2 million. Adesina hands in his transfer request. He's a great player, but we've got Jane Vicente in his position and he costs us just £1 million and could turn a huge profit for us. And wouldn't you know, Milan came in for £53 million. Many transfers happening, but Ronald Araujo for £38.5 million is a notable one at age 31. Coming back from loans, we have some unreal players like Goitea, as well as Diego, who was on loan at Bayern Munich. Squad depth-wise, we are already looking great outside of that one goalkeeper. With ter Stegen's retirement, Mora is my favourite to replace him as an 18-year-old simply because of the concentration, low eccentricity and aerial ability. Again, contract rejected, Araujo stays for now. UEFA Super Cup time and we face Spurs. Jordan Ross scores the first 2 goals and we cap off the 3-0 win with Vicente beautifully chipping the goalkeeper. Our opening games are interesting with Betis, Real Madrid away and the Catalan rivals Espanyol right after. Problem though, we only have a maximum of 3 foreign players and there's 5 players in there that I wanted to register. So I need to find some loan moves for some players. Sesko kicked off the season well when he scored all 4 of the goals in the game as we beat Betis 4-0. So the early El Clasico. And we were brilliant. being 4-0 up at one point, winning 5-2. A difficult group, however, as we are joined by Chelsea, Lazio and Monaco in the Champions League. The transfer deadline day passes and we say our goodbyes to Ansu Fati. He's at the prime age to sell during the youth to gold method, and he is talented, but we do have new younger talents who have already overtaken him. He only made 14 starts last year because of Jordi, means his value was dropped, and with the wages above 400k, it was a good time to sell for 35 million, with Goita and Diego snapping at his heels. Akamak joins him as he leaves this summer, with a lot of loans going out as well. And we have signed 8 players this year so far for the cost of one of those departures, constantly making profits through the transfers, and this is exactly how the youth to gold is at its best. The first team looks pretty small, but plenty of players in the B team that can help support. And after smacking Espanyol 5-1, let's speed run the first half of the season. Highlights of this first half was a fantastic victory against Atletico Madrid, where goals were flying in from all positions of the pitch as we go on and win the game 4-0. As well as a 5-0 away win at Villarreal. We had a rough patch, however, where we have drawn 5 times in just 9 games. But with no losses, we are still unbeaten in La Liga. Our Champions League defense campaign started with a 4-2 win against Chelsea, and we topped our group unbeaten too, drawing only one of those games to Chelsea, 1-1. But guess who we've drawn in the first round? Antonio Conte's Spurs again. And we'll continue to find out how we play against the Europa League winners in the next episode. If that's out, I'll pop it up on the screen right now. But if not, enjoy this one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. We won our first Champions League. Hurrah! Still only 4th in the reputation rankings, means we still got a job to finish here. Plus the debts are still fairly high, although finances are looking very healthy. We are also halfway through the season, remember, and unbeaten. So let's see if we can go back-to-back Champions Leagues. With Spurs in the first round knockouts, the use of all 3 tactics has been working fairly well. And Jordan Ross wins this year's Ballon d'Or, with Sesko finishing second. And there's more bids for Jordi. Can't really blame him, he's developed incredibly well. Big offers also coming in for Vicente, but there's no way I'm selling him. Look how good he is. Rejected. But I have accepted an offer for the centre midfielder that I never intend on using. 2 new players coming in, a Norwegian striker whose base attributes looks good, and an Argentinian centre-back who was too cheap to turn down. I've decided to loan out Gortea to PSG as we have 3 players who can play on the left right now. Liverpool came in for Nico, interesting. He's 29 now, so it's a perfect time to sell under the youth to gold thinking, but I asked for a little bit more money, £60 million up front, and it's rejected. Never mind. Another El Clasico and another win for the red and blue, when Sesko scored the opener, and Pedri scored from the spot. 2-0 win. We do have a few injuries too, and Jordan Ross being one of them, who's been out for 2 months already, and now Jean Vicente, who's out for another 4. We sold an academy player who was never going to be good enough for £9 million in total. But I did sign a great right-back prospect from Napoli for just 13 million. And he's already played 16 times for Napoli's first team this season. But that's the January window over. And in that month, we won every single game. Quarterfinal of the Copa del Rey won as we defeat Bilbao 5-1, and a new name pops up with a hat-trick. Ray Moritz, a Brazilian striker we moved to the first team when Jordan Ross got injured, has been scoring some goals. And the 3 he got here shows you exactly what he is capable of, as he scores a variety of different opportunities. He's a player we signed a few seasons ago for £13 million, and he's far from our best striker, but he has some good attributes in a lot of crucial places, including physicals, which has developed nicely. We followed that with a first leg win against Sociedad in the semi-final of the Copa del Rey. Another 4 league wins and 9 goals in those games for Benjamin Sesko alone. Champions League time then, and Spurs caught us napping, 1-0. Thankfully, from kick-off, we scored immediately through Jordi, and it was Jordi yet again who broke through the left into the Spurs box, but this time he patiently waits and pulls it back for Ray Moritz to score the last goal of the game, 2-1. And we pop ourselves in the Copa del Rey final, and we continue to win games in the league. So it's time for the Spurs second leg. Looking at how close we were in the first leg and with Sesko's suspension, I think switching to the 4-3-3 is our best bet. Jordan Ross is now back. Jordi is slightly fatigued, but other than that, our team is still really strong. And it was a good decision. Badji opened the scoring for us, and there Spurs never stood a chance. We continued to score fantastic team goals, and everyone seemed to get in on the action. Francisco Carlos and Balde as well, but my favourite goal was the 5th, when Ray Moritz scored a wonderful volley. And look who we're drawn against in the quarters. Of course, I am completely shocked. I'm also shocked to see Wayne Rooney become an Atletico manager 9 years after his last job at Derby. Didn't stop him from giving us our first defeat of the season, however. Cheers, Wazza. Carlos was suspended, so Araujo came in and we stuck with the 4-3-3 being away from home. And then the game ended in a 0-0 draw. Second leg, I reverted back to 2 up top playing in front of the home crowd. Pedri opened the scoring on the 11th minute, but Mbappe wasted no time equalising a minute later. Benjamin Sesko then stepped up to score a second and a third. And Jordan Ross finished City off with a fourth midway through the second half, putting us into the semi-final against Ten Hag's PSG. An update on the league, we currently sit 8 points ahead of second place Sevilla, with Real Madrid down in 4th with 7 games to go. But it's Copa del Rey final time and it's Granada who sit in 3rd place. We line up with a 2 up top because of a fixture congestion, players are tired. We are also using Barcelona B centre-back Marjan Bojic alongside Bren Worrell. Goals came from all over the pitch. Diego, he scored 2. Jordan Ross also picked up 1 for himself. His strike partner Sesko also got 2 of his own. And substitute Ray Moritz scored the goal of the game when he whipped one in the top corner from outside the box, helping us lift the Copa del Rey after a 6-2 win. Now with 2 more wins in the league against Sociedad and Levante, it's time for the Champions League semi-final. And with many injuries and being the away leg, we go back to the 4-3-3. Jordan Ross is the man once again who gave us the lead, but PSG's Fabien Gauthier equalised on the 82nd minute. And yes, you have heard that name before. Gauthier is the player we loaned to PSG in January. Even the media are rattling us for that. The 2 up top tactic against Villarreal in the game between the 2 Champions League legs seen both Ross and Sesko bag some goals. So we stick with it in the second leg against PSG. I remember this onslaught by Barcelona against PSG a few years back. Well, we beat that today, 6-0. Now, I remember watching that game back in 2017 and being completely in awe of how Barcelona completely devoured PSG's defending. And it was exactly the same feeling watching Benjamin Sesko just ruin the back 4 here in the semi-final. Although the scenario was different, as in 2017 Barcelona trailed them from the first leg, we were just ruthless. And even 18-year-old Mora in goal for us made a couple of good saves and played really well. So another Champions League final against Chelsea. Another English side in the final for us to overcome. Before that, and with the Copa del Rey already won, let's take a look at the league as we are 9 points clear with 4 games to go, meaning we could win it all in our next game if Granada slip up. But we do face them the game after, so we could beat them to actually win it. But oh no, Granada go and draw against Atletico, meaning we just need 1 more win. And we are away to Elche. We have so many players missing or recovering from injuries that our bench is full of orange. We still stick to the 2 up top and go for it with Sesko and Ross leading the line. And it was Benjamin Sesko who scored the first goal too from a near post volley. Then when Jordan Ross picked up the ball in space on the edge of the box, the ball found its way to Bren Worrell, of all players to smash one in. And it proved to be crucial as Elche scored late on through Petkov. So we win our 6th league title in a row. And I'm declared as one of the world's greatest ever managers. Now, despite rotating a lot of players, we still beat Granada 4-0. And the same scenario with Almeria. However, really bad news when Vicente got himself injured and will likely miss the final now, which is gutting because he really is the best right winger in the world by a mile. Final game of the league and we go for the 4-2-3-1 and we almost fully rotate the team to give as many people a rest. Celta Vigo, however, beat us 4-3 with a 95th minute winner. But the worst thing about this loss was that we were 3-0 up in 18 minutes. Actually, Gavi getting injured and missing the final is now the new worst thing about this loss. I don't normally do this, but I gave him the injections. What could go wrong? Also, just 1 win away from 26 games unbeaten in the Champions League. Okay, it's Champions League final time. Chelsea apparently used a 4-4-2 and have players like Nianzou and De Ligt in their prime. I think we have big success using the 2 up top against 4-4-2 in the past, so I think that's definitely the way to go. However, I'm going to take 2 big risks. James Vicente is back in full training the next day, and I think he's the best option to go with down the right hand side. And Gavi playing through his injury with his injections, Jordi on the left instead of Diego, and Sesko and Ross, of course, is the strike partnership. Okay, no going back now, let's get into the game. My team talk suggests that we need to prove that we are winners while pumping my fist, as well as telling the players that they will make the difference and to make me proud. And my scouts were right when the lineup came up and shows Chelsea in a 4-4-2. Now, from our goalkeeper clearance, Sesko nods it down for us to begin an early attack with Pedri. Francisco Carlos plays in Vicente, who pass finds Ross, and Ross hits the post with an easy opportunity. Chelsea's poor clearance means we pile on the pressure and the ball drops to Ross once again, who this time hits the other post. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? It's Chelsea this time on the attack down the right hand side. Some neat passing between Zaniolo and Nianzou, and Brella is lurking, and he curls in the opening goal of the game, 1-0 to the London side. Pedri fires a long ball through and Vicente slips Sesko in, who calmly dinks it over the goalkeeper to equalise. As you can see from the replay, the defender actually gets the first touch as well, but it is awful and Vicente capitalises on it. A Chelsea corner and Bellingham narrowly heads it over. Half time then, and I decided I need to take a struggling Vicente off and bring on Rooney Badgie on the right to replace him. More changes in a very tight and quiet second half, as Diego is on for Jordi and Nico replaces Gavi at CDM. From another poor goalkeeper clearance, Carlos to Ross, who finds Sesko, and his shot is parried just past the post. Another opportunity wasted. But on the 87th minute, Reece James nails Sesko, who has already been booked. He is in a lot of trouble here, and sure enough, the ref shows him a second yellow card, and he's off for an early bath in the Champions League final. But the clock winds down, and we can't quite make the most of the extra man. The full-time whistle blows, and it's into extra time. I changed the mentality to attacking, making us play wider, as well as I noticed Chelsea went more narrow, and I swapped Pedri for Ray Moritz and I moved him out to the right hand side. The goalkeeper Moore rolled the ball out to Worrell and an attack began, where Moritz was played down the right hand side as we intended, and his cross was met by Benjamin Sesko, who fired us into the lead. We then hounded Chelsea in possession through a press and just waited for them to make a mistake, and sure enough they did, and we counter-attacked him down the left hand side with Diego. He was forced out wide, but eventually he cut it back for Nico. Moritz somehow missed from 2 yards out, but Ross couldn't miss from the rebound. VAR was going to check it though. Eventually the goal was awarded, and looking at the replay, I still don't know how he missed that first shot. Chelsea had nothing to lose, and Mount found Luis Diaz, whose shot was excellently saved by young Moura in goal. From a Chelsea throw-in, we pounced once again into action and found some space for Sesko to hit the woodwork, but it turns out he was offside. But it did not matter, because moments later the time was up for Chelsea, and Barcelona have won back-to-back Champions Leagues. A perfect season for us as we lifted the greatest trophy in Europe. But my question is, how does it do for us in the rankings, and is this going to be the final episode of the series? A perfect season with all 5 trophies won that we entered this season. In Europe, we've jumped up to the highest ranking in the team coefficients, but that's not what we are tracking. Liverpool out of nowhere matched Jordi's release clause, by the way. Come on, Luke, reputation. Well, here we go. Boom! We are the most reputable club in the world, overtaking Chelsea at the top after beating them in the final. Now, yes, there is still a debt here, but check this out. £1 billion in the bank. Considering we started €1 billion in debt, I think this has been a huge success. Thank you so much for watching this series. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. There'll be a challenge video out on Friday. If you have any other suggestions for a new series, let me know. But why not check out this video instead? See you later.